Hey, alright, I got my foot up on the gas. It's the Joe Q Car Show podcast. Let's go.
Welcome to the Joe Q Car Show. I'm Joe, and I'm here with Chef Mike Haracz.
Hi-yo!
I'm so happy to have him on. We were already kind of grooving a little bit before the show, and I already love the energy. Chef Mike, you are the Wendy's guy, McDonald's guy, burger inventor, hardcore metal band member, video gamer, dad, dungeon master, influencer, certified barbecue judge, and it's just like, oh my gosh, everything. And by the way, one of the most comprehensive LinkedIn profiles I've ever seen.
Yes.
Chef Mike.
It has all
Haracz.
of the info. And it's know what? LinkedIn is one of those things. It comes in waves. So like early on, it was very business and like nobody used it. Then it caught on. Then it died off again. And I think now with like
It's back.
Yeah, it's definitely back. But unfortunately, it's turning into all the other social media sites where it's just trash people who like hating on everybody. Like just, all right, I need one place. It's just like work connections. I don't need to hear your personal story.
There's a lot of that. It's so weird how the internet has transformed over the years. And I know you've been on the internet for at least as long as I have, probably a little bit longer. I was listening to some of your other stuff here, and you've been nerding out for a long time. But I need to start with my first question that I ask every guest. Mike, Chef Mike, what do you drive?
I currently drive a 2020 Hyundai Palisade because I've got two kids and I needed a third row for when like the grandparents come along and cargo space. And I will never get a van. It's the closest to a van without getting a van.
No, dude. Okay, one, I will defend the vans until the cows come home or whatever. Like I love vans. I just actually sold the giant conversion van like a few months ago.
Nice.
But yeah, it was like an old 2000.
But once you have it, like if I use it, I'm like, oh my gosh, the kids can just like they've got a whole play place in here, and it would be great. I would love it, but I just the principle. I don't know why.
No, I understand. The Palisade's a really good choice, by the way. So like, I got to sit in a couple of them back when we used to have auto shows and stuff, and it was great. So
I was
interior,
being the family man. So with the Costco Auto program, shout out to Costco Auto program. I was gonna get the Telluride.
Telluride, yes.
Telluride, yes. But that was delayed. Like 10 months out, I kept asking, and finally I was like, I'm waiting too long. So then I get the Palisade, but then the Telluride just came out with a cool like black accent package. That looks so awesome. I'm like, I would have got that, but that's okay. My video cut out. There we go. Okay.
It's
I got
right.
one of the Logitech, like a Logitech one. You just plug in USB. That like if you look at it wrong, it just likes to wig
Dude,
out.
I had my producer. This is Inside Baseball. I had my producer fix my camera for me. It's one of those Logitechs too, and I was like, "We need to fix the lighting. We need to figure this out because I look like trash." So on all my other episodes, I look really bad, and this is the exact same camera, listeners. So enjoy. Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Joe, for editing this. Great. I have a great video editor named Joe too. So I'm not talking about myself.
Other Joe.
Other Joe. Yeah.
Nice.
He is actually, a great video editor. So anyway. Let's get back to the program.
Yes.
So you, everybody knows you as Chef Mike, and I went through a bunch of your interviews, and what happens here is you always say the same thing. It's like, I cooked with my mom and my grandma, and I did the whole thing with the green beans and whatever, and now I'm a chef. And so, but right now you're having like quite a moment, and I'm so happy that you're like coming on to talk to me. So you're gracious with your time, and I can see that you're a very gracious individual. Because I'm looking at all these other shows that you've done. Tell me about that, Chef Mike.
Well, obviously with, things going on in the world, and I have a little more free time. So right before COVID shenanigans was when I was in a Wendy's commercial. It was just social media stuff. Then I was in a commercial. Then I was like, all right, we're going to do internet, go places and do all this stuff. So this was like 2 weeks before COVID hit, I had stuff lined up with like a big gaming energy drink. And I was going to do a thing with one of the biggest esports leagues and like cook with one of their talents. And I had all this stuff in the works. And then, wow. So then I decided, okay, I'm just going to start my own YouTube channel to at least I mean, it's something that I've never done. I don't do any of the online stuff. Like, I'm not opposed to it. I do social media, but not like content creation really. So I decided I'm going to start from the ground up. I did my first YouTube video, like just the cell phone. It's choppy. And then every time I do it, like I learn a thing like, oh, I should, worry about the lighting and bounce it off the wall as opposed to directly on me because it looks crappy. Or,
Right.
yeah, like, oh, I should edit it in this way. I know how to like edit it faster. And but I'm only taking it to a certain level until like you get to a certain stage of popularity. Then maybe I'll invest in better lighting, better camera. But we're just doing it down and dirty, rugged style.
Exactly. But
And
that's the way you do it, right?
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
but you, so like the traits that you're like bringing, like you've went, so how did you become so popular? Like there's like the Rooster Teeth thing, and then like Achievement Hunter, and like some other stuff, some Reddit Ask Me Anythings, like, and I'm watching these big chunks of listeners just and subscribers.
So
it's crazy.
This is how I think it went down, because right out of college, when MySpace was big, I was in a bunch of bands, and it was We Need Fans. That was a great way to like promote the shows. You used to be able to like send a direct message to an inbox, and everybody read it, and people would come up to a show that way. So I had that mentality going in of build an audience, knowing social media will use that. At that time, it was Tia Tequila. Is that her name?
Holy shit!
Right, like. You see, that was like one of the first people. It's like, you're just famous for no reason. You're just famous because a lot of people know who you are. Interesting. And you started seeing that kind of personality pop up. So it was always, all right, social media is going to think that's going to be here. I'm going to keep working on that. So even after the band stuff, and I started doing more, even for my job, I would help run little like food company social media pages and stuff. Then I started working on my own brand. I got a little bit of popularity here and there just because of being in a band and all that stuff. Then I think the biggest thing, once I got to McDonald's and I think Rooster Teeth stuff and the Szechuan sauce, Rick and Morty shenanigans. And really those two big things were just like, okay, now I know that I have a little bit of influence.
So, and that was actually one of the things I took out of like my shouting at the camera thing, introducing you. Like you're a huge reason why Szechuan sauce happened, because you kind of like were like, I'll see what I can do. Yeah. And like you were working at McDonald's, somebody tweeted at you because they knew you worked for the company. Yeah. And you're like, I will see what I can do. I think that was the tweet.
Yeah, it was basically an I'll look into it kind of thing. And then, oh. Hey, we're back. It was a look into it kind of thing. But then the actual media said, a chef from McDonald's is bringing back. Whoa, we never said is. What's going on? Like, it was a whole big thing with the legal department and the PR and all these. But, and then it progressed to what it was. And here we are.
So, you didn't just like sprout up out of the ground yesterday, though. Like, you've been preparing and doing this, like you were talking about. You've been in bands, you've been in small bands and some larger stuff, and been really close to some famous people, I can tell. What is your band life like? Because one of the reasons you didn't just go into being a line chef, why don't you tell the people? I don't want to tell the people. You wanted to rock on the weekends or whatever, right?
The story is, so in culinary school, working in a restaurant, your nights, weekends, and holidays are mainly when you work. So if you want to have a family, that's all the times that they're usually available, you're working. And that's when bands and stuff perform. So if I'm working in a kitchen, I wanted to be in a band. So I learned about what an R&D, food scientist, product developer was, and that's that 9-to-5 gig. So I could still have my weekends available to rock and shred, but still cook and develop stuff. And I really got into food science and just my personality of, and it's not a negative, but there's a lot of chefs who are like, all right, I'm cooking it this way. This is how I'm going to serve it to you, and you should like it. This is how it's supposed to be. And I'm like, I'll cook it how you want it. You want pineapple on pizza? I love pineapple on pizza. I'll throw it on there. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says.
I don't know if it's like a Midwest thing or whatever. Like I'm from the Detroit area. Like you're Chicagoland area.
Oh yeah, you get that nice Detroit style.
Oh yeah,
with that crunchy cheese on the corners and on the sides.
I love it. Come on, we got our buddies, we got our thing. But
right, I mean, and people are gonna say that's not real pizza. I don't care. I love it. I love deep dish.
Right.
I don't care if you don't think it's pizza or not. I'm gonna eat it.
I
They
went
do
to
that for-
Chicago. I went to Chicago, and there was two places that everybody kept telling me to go. And it was like both of these things were, it was like the size of a big cheesecake
Yo,
of
yeah,
cheese in the,
they're
oh,
monster.
they were great. I mean, like I felt guilty after it,
Yeah,
after
you
that, but
eat
that's
a
on me,
slice.
you know.
You eat, and they're you pay for it too. It's not like you're not getting a Papa John's, $9.99
Get out of
Shakarino
here.
pizza. You're getting $35 for a 7-pound big ass,
It really is like
container.
7 or 8 pounds, probably. It's
Oh
crazy.
yeah, you get a
man.
large one. I worked at my first job ever was at a Pizzeria Uno's, like a corporate chain one, not the actual one. There's an actual one in Chicago that's much better. They cook everything from scratch, but this is the chain version. And one of the positions is there's like a conveyor belt oven, and it's your job to take the pizza out. You throw it out of the pan, all right? So you take like a 12-pound thing and toss the pizza out of the pan onto the cutting board, chop it, slide it back in, and lift it pretty high on this window. And if you get like a large, fully loaded pizza, that's got to be,
It's like
I
a
don't
team
know how
lift.
many
You got to
pounds.
be like,
Yeah, you got to really like, oh my gosh. So you do that for 7 hours a day, and you just got like, you're just all shoulders and arms, and
I mean, like you're hitting all the stuff for me. I got like uncles in the bread industry, and like my brothers and my cousins and the editors of the show all worked at pizza places. They all got
so
these
they get,
beefy
yeah,
arms.
right?
Like they get it, man.
Especially if you're beating that dough like by hand. If you're doing
all
traditional,
day.
you're just throwing bows into it.
And
You're all neck. You're just neck muscle.
I know. I left for a summer and I came back and my brother worked at a pizza joint and he's just like got these huge arms. Like, what happened? What did you do?
Yo,
Like,
Popeye eating that spinach. Nice work.
oh man.
Awesome.
So like, where does all this energy come from? Like, what energizes you so much to
I don't
just
know.
have this? Like, you really don't know.
I am the kind of person that will try all the things. So you listed off a bunch of stuff that like I'm into and I do. I'm not good at any of those things. I just like to do the things. So like when I turned 30, I said, hey, I've never golfed in my life. I'm going to learn how to play golf. So that whole like summer, I took lessons and I'm horrible. I love playing. I still do. I still love playing. One year I was like, I'm going to run the Chicago Marathon. So I did 2 half marathons and ran the full one. One year I'm going to get into barbecue competitions, which is where I became a certified barbecue judge. I did a couple seasons of actually like competing in KCBS, which is the Pitmasters, your Myron Mixon, your Toughies, all of them are actually competing in that. I went down to Memphis in May and helped the team down there. Like, I just like just doing stuff. And I think people are so scared that they're not going to be good or they're trying to do it to be awesome at it. And it's like, if you watch my YouTube video, I mess up and I just leave it in and I comment about it in the editing like, oh, I said the wrong thing. That's incorrect. This recent video, I set up a little thing where I was supposed to put in like noise and I just totally forgot to do it. So everyone's like, did you forget to do the thing? Like, yeah, I didn't put in much effort to that. But
you know what? Like that is such an interesting trait to have, to just to be okay with failing. It sounds like you're or okay with being just kind of like, like I did my best and that's good enough for me. But I also think you're being a little bit modest because you actually like, you don't just wake up and do a marathon. Like you train and you train and you train.
Right,
You're very driven.
Oh yeah.
And like you have this personality that comes off as very like jovial and everything, but there is definitely a edge to what you have. Like you are a very driven individual. You went to a good school. You graduated with really good marks. Like and you're combining this into this bombastic personality. I love watching. I love watching the shows.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. So like I'm gushing a little bit, but also like where does it come from? What is driving you to do these things?
Do you want me to go? I could go deep psychology because I've thought about it.
Man.
I've thought about this.
Please.
All right.
Yeah, I'm very interested.
And
I'm sure my listeners are too. So
okay. There's probably people just I was the guy in high school. I had very few really close friends. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I see this person every day. When there's friends that have groups of friends that are like 20 deep, super close. However, I had a lot of friends in all the different areas. So I was on track and field and played football for one season. I was not good at any of them. So like that crowd. I loved loud metal music and played guitar. I was that crowd. I was kind of a nerd and played Dungeons and Dragons and video games. So like all these people. So it was for whatever reason, this drive to want people to just like me and associate with me. So like when I am out and somebody runs up to me and wants an autograph now, you know, I'm new to this. So probably for years and years, I'll be like, yes, bother me at dinner. I would love to, you know, if you come up and you recognize me, that's great. Where then you look at people who've been doing this for like 30, 40 years that are like, I have no time alone. Can you not bother me? You know, maybe I'll get there someday. But it's just that attitude of wanting everybody to like me. However, also learning the hard fact that if people don't like you, it does not matter. They're not even irrelevant to your life. Don't even associate with them. It's cool.
You know, I identify with what you're saying, though, because it's like, you know, you want people to like you. Everybody wants people to like them. But, like, if you're the person that everybody normally likes you and the one person doesn't, you're like, well, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, what did I do? And then you target, and all your energy from being happy and jovial goes away, and now you're focusing on one individual person where all these other
unhealthy.
People, right? Absolutely.
So, like, how long did it take you to get over that? You're like, because I mean,
it was probably.
Did you like have an epiphany one day? Did like a Chicago deep dish hit you in the head?
Like, oh my gosh! Portillo's hot dog in the eye. Oh my god! I don't know if it was in culinary school where I was finally like top of class, like oh my god, I'm really good at this, and people like noticed that. Because I was always more just like the drifter. I'm friends with everybody, and now people are like, "Oh, hey, look, knows all the answers guy over here, Dean's List guy." Like, oh, I don't know if it was playing a bunch of shows in the middle of nowhere for 5 people, and you're hoping that 5 people enjoy, so you got to give it 100% all the time. Because if you're performing and you put on a show for somebody, if you have an audience, it's like, I'm doing this for your benefit. Like, I love doing it, but I love you loving it. That's the reason why we're doing stuff. So if I'm engaging in anyone, whether it's work, whether it's friends and family, it's like, I just want them to enjoy themselves, to like what I'm doing, realize that I appreciate them. So when you have that mentality all the time. Now, I do like every once in a while you get a troll or you get a hater, and destroying them with factual information and sometimes converting them to a, you know what, you're right, I shouldn't have been like that. Like, those are my favorite things to do. I digress, but.
No, I mean, you don't have to digress. This is about you. So, like, you could keep going if you want. But, like, so the metal, the music, like, where does that come from? What do you do? Do you sing, you dance, you play guitar? What do you do?
So I grew up on like blues and classic rock. My brother got into like, you know, 90s grunge and like, you know, Hatebreed and Seven Dust and Disturbed and like those kind of bands. Yeah, Korn was kind of when I was in high school. Slipknot's first album came out, I think, when I was a freshman. So I kind of gravitated towards that. But then my roommate in college, who I became really good friends with, we both were stood up at each other's weddings. He is the nicest, quietest gentleman who has this huge beard, weird hair, and listens to the most evil, like death grindcore, horrible, like the most evil metal created. So then I started getting it here. We'd always just like, yeah. So then I went a little harder, certainly through him. But then I always played guitar. I started playing cello when I was 5 or in 5th grade. And then when I got to high school, I switched to guitar because my brother switched to guitar, and I've been playing since then. And I play guitar, and I was the background screamer guy in the metal bands. I'm no longer in a band. Oh yeah.
That like
my scream voice is destroyed. I cannot appropriately do it anymore.
It's kind of like I don't know, like one of those, like a running back or something. You can only do it for so long. Like,
right. Or doing it wrong. Like later on, when I knew it was like hurting my voice and I couldn't do it all, I tried to do there's this Melissa Cross. She's an actual like opera voice singer, but then she converted to like teach all the metal guys how to scream right. So like I actively tried to like figure out how to do that, and I could do it a little bit. It's like that falsetto scream, but it was already like, oh, your voice, it's
too gone.
Yeah.
So like, is that another passion of yours, music, or was it just kind of a fleeting thing? Because
I was playing in bands for like 5 or 6 years or so. Like although I had a full-time job, like this was also going on while I was doing just finding my R&D food science culinary career stuff. Like, I always never put all my eggs in one basket. Like, yes, it would help if I did 200 shows a year and all that stuff, but I was always like, I got a full-time job. I'm going to be the weekend warrior. I'll play Thursday nights maybe, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Indiana, vicinity of Illinois. So try to build something to a level where if it's marketable, maybe we'll move ahead. But I always have kind of that plan B in place.
It's very pragmatic, like you have a good approach to things, a measured approach. Like, you're making your money, you're making your 401k, you got a real job, you can take care of your family, and then you're scratching your itch somewhere else with other things. So I think it's a smart way to do it. Would you say you're an introvert or an extrovert? Because I think, what would you say?
So by what the people see is extrovert, like I'm always on, but there are things I absolutely just keep close to the chest, like, I'm not going to go full crazy Mike, complain, like rage Chef Mike in the back of the kitchen monster anymore. I'll keep that. But it's a little bit of both, depending on, like, very situational, I guess.
You've alluded to this Chef Mike monster guy in other shows and stuff. So, like, you gotta divulge something. Like, what happened? Where did they go? Like,
that chef life of working in a kitchen when you're slammed, you're helping another section because they suck. So, like, it's making your life harder. And you've got a window full of food that needs to be run to the guests, and you see 5 servers on their cell phones just like, it's not my table, or I'm flirting, trying to, do.
Well, I mean, you're always flirting at a restaurant. Everybody's flirting with everybody.
There's a lot of those shenanigans going on. But then it would be like, would you get off the phone and pick up the food inside of the window? I made servers cry. Like, I'm gonna go get the boss, and I'm gonna get you fired right now. I will get you fired, guaranteed.
The intensity, get the food. Yeah, the intensity of the people preparing your food at a restaurant, like it like, I don't think people understand. And I actually, I for one, like, if I ran for office, one of the things, my policies would be like, everybody has to work in a restaurant for at least 6 months of their life. Like, that would be mandatory. Like, it teaches you so much about everything.
Yeah,
so,
work in a post office scenario.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like where
high pressure service industry.
Yes, it is unknown how many people are going to come in today. Somebody called in sick, so you got to pick up the slack. And if somebody comes in at 11:59 and you close at midnight, you serve the person at 11:59. Like, even though you know why, come on, just clean up. But if having the feeling of your job when you're falling in the weeds and you feel like you cannot dig yourself out, and finally actually doing it. I do have a story about it if you want me to go into it. So this was sophomore year. I lived in Virginia Waters, Surrey, England. So it's southwest of London. It is a very rich area, and I worked at the Wentworth Club, which is this big golf course out there. Very fancy, like oil tycoons and famous golfers. Like, this is the premier club.
This sounds very fancy. Just the name alone, just like, it
exudes
money.
You must have money. Oh, man. So I get there as an intern. This is like my first month there. I was a commis chef. So it's like bottom rung. I was supporting one of the line leads. So in the vegetable and side dish station, which could be arguably one of the tougher ones because every order gets some of those things. A month into my internship of me learning how to do this, that guy gets fired by the French chef who's loud and rowdy. Chef Mike, you are to the line. Okay. This is a silent kitchen. He calls out things. You say, yes, chef. You complete the orders. You need to just remember what the orders are and what you need to bring up, and talk to the other stations. It's like the brigade system. Talk to the other stations on when your stuff's going to get ready. So I used to get stuff through. I was beaten down constantly. I'm like, I'm new here. What are you? Get back to what? Nonstop. And then finally one day of busy service, and I dominated, and other sections are failing. And the guy, and the after service, the chef should just one up to me. He's just like, all he did, oh wait, hold on, my video. I gotta put my video back on. Sorry. And the chef came up to me, and all he said was, "I did not yell at you today." And he walked away. Well, you didn't yell at me today. Yeah. And
that's
just like
the compliment of a lifetime.
feeling. Absolutely. Like, you didn't do a good job. I just didn't yell at you today.
That's
Winning.
great.
So like
Man.
that feeling of success once you taste it, like getting a crown in Fall Guys or something awesome like that.
Oh, if only I knew the success of getting the crown in Fall Guys.
I won, like, the 3rd game I ever played, I won. And then, like, the 10th game I ever played, I won. And I have not won ever since. I don't know why.
Every time I play with someone, they get a crown. And that, I mean, like, I'm a good luck charm for Fall Guys, but I am the Fall Guy. Like,
yeah, you are the base of the pyramid that they climb up to get the crown.
It's always, and that's okay. Sometimes you're that guy. So,
nice.
I do. The thing that pisses me off about that game is, like, I'm okay at it. I probably can get good at it, but, like, I just want to. I need to have people with me to play it. I'm not going to log in multiplayer and not have a group of people. Anyway, nothing pisses me off about it.
It is awesome. It is fun to talk with your team. Like, where I've been streaming just a couple times, and you know, I get knocked out and I suck, but I can at least root for somebody. Like, let's go team, we're on the team. And there are some games that are team games and all that. So,
oh man, I know you're a big gamer, and you're a nerd too. You've said this in other things, and I'm calling you a nerd, right? Like, but so you're a dungeon master also. You play D&D.
Yes.
You are a dungeon master. I could not imagine a better dungeon master. Oh, and I have other podcasts that I do. Somebody's going to be very offended by this, but like I could imagine you as being a very good dungeon master. Like, that would be a lot of fun. So, like, when you're making up these scenarios, what's your go-to when you're making a scenario up?
This is my strategy. So for all the real nerds out there, I play in the 3.5 edition and I DM the 5 edition. And my 5th edition that I DM, that I'm a dungeon master in, is very homebrew. So I made the world and made the characters and made, like, everything that's going on using the Dungeons and Dragons rules. So I am horrible at remembering the rules. I seldomly know what the actual rule is, but I fortunately play with some people that are like eidetic memory. I know what page this is on. Like, I'm not a total idiot, but there's like small nuanced things that, oh, you got to add your dex modifier plus your wisdom and then you get whatever. But what I'm really good at is telling the story part, like creating the world. And I have done things in the game to, like, my goal is to get the players to, like, have a real emotional response to what's going on. So for instance, this last game that we just played, there's this little island city where a bunch of the halflings live. It's like their town. And the member of my party used to live there. It got invaded by goblins and now is taken over. Where they were on a beach somewhere else, and I drifted halfling bodies, like, because some other events unfolded that, like, the world is going to heck. And, like, they were just walking somewhere and, like, they look over and they found, like, a halfling body. She's like, wait, I know who that is. And then she looks down the coastline and there's a couple more, and it's like, everything that you guys decided not to go there to help out. So these are the ramifications of your actions. So how you feel now, if you spent hours and hours playing this game and you developed the character and you developed the character's backstory, and I took something from the backstory you created and I just twisted the knife a little bit. You said they got invaded. Well, guess what? You've been doing nothing to help. And I just, like, the backstory, you see your backstory unfold in the game. And I think you get that emotional response: happy, sad, angry, depressed. Like, there's been
that's what you're going for, the emotional response. Like, you're going for a reaction, whatever it is. And I feel like the dungeon master role for you, it would just be like the supreme thing for storytelling, and because you're getting a rise out of people, but you're also bringing people through a narrative. So I could really see you being just excelling at it.
Right.
So
and
it sounds like you do.
And a great example too is, you obviously did your homework on my background and did all that stuff. Well, if you find out somebody's personality, you know that they like to be the leader in real life. So then in game, you put them in very uncomfortable scenarios that they're like, I don't want to be like, no, you're not the leader, you're a peasant. And, like, they get riled up because this is not And once they have that response, they are invested in the game. So if you don't know the rules, well, that's cool. We'll look it up. The battles might be a little clunky, but if you can, like I said, tell that story, it'll just play out, all by themselves, and they'll have a good old time and talk about it afterwards.
One of the things that you mentioned was you were the only boy in your home econ class,
Yeah.
and like in like middle school, and I just wanted to were you just like sitting there like, this is weird, or tell me about that.
So in junior high, it was the first time that like a cooking class was offered, and it was in home ec. So it was half cooking, and the other like major half of it was like sewing and stuff like that. So, and I was
we
the
must have been
only
on the
boy.
same curriculum, man. Like,
Right,
it's just-
probably. I was just and it never really, I never really thought about it till later, because, it's one of those unfortunate things that people would assume, oh, a woman's, role is in the kitchen, unless you're talking fancy chefs, and that has to be male dominated. And I never looked at it. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I can learn how to sew. This is cool. I was already pretty good at cooking stuff. So throughout high school and a lot of the high school classes that were offered, it got to a point where the teachers were just kind of like, just cook whatever you like. You're well above this. You know how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon. So I got into like the advanced cooking stuff where they're just like, make a menu, serve a bunch of food. I don't care what you do. So I was just having fun at that point. Yeah, but.
Well, that had to be inspiring for the rest of your stuff. And like, it sounds like you're really inspired by your brother too. I don't know how many brothers you have. That wasn't in my research, but like, or how big is your family or whatever. But like, it sounds like your family, your brother are people you care deeply about. But I mean, like, he bought a guitar, you bought a guitar. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, I have my older brother, John. He's about 3 years older. We still live in the same area. He's got a kid in between the age of my two daughters, and they're going to go to the same high school as long as nobody moves and all that. But, growing up, and like I said, I didn't have a lot of really close individual friends, but I had a lot. So there was John, my brother, who's always like, I always want to hang out with his friends and do everything. I was the annoying little brother that always wanted to hang out and do all that stuff. Well, as we got older and older, then it was a little more accepting, like I hang out with his friends too.
Right.
Mine and all that. But yeah, so yeah, he definitely influenced my rock and roll career at an early age for sure.
Oh my gosh. I mean, like, this was just I can't even believe how much time has passed that we've been talking. It's all flown by so quickly. Did I miss anything? Should I have asked you something that I missed? What do you want to talk about that nobody's been asking you about? You've been on so many interview shows. It's crazy.
What do I want to talk about? I don't know. I've got, like I said, I've got a lot of other things in the works that hopefully there's a variety of intense awesomeness. So there's one thing that if it panned out would be big time. And then I got some other things that are awesome and other things in the works, but hopefully those things happen so I can talk about them and you can see me in all kinds of places.
Well, Chef John, oh my gosh, it was just so good having you on. Where can the people find you?
Did you just call me Chef John? John's my brother.
Oh
I'm
my
Chef
God.
Mike. Yeah,
it has been a long day.
I want the editor to leave it in and just do a horrible edit, like, "Hey, Chef Michael," or something really like poorly edited. Throw it on top of there.
Well, Chef
Michael.
Oh my gosh, it was just so good having you on, Chef Mike. Holy shit, it has been a wild ride. Where can the people find you to stay updated on all these cool things you have going on?
Yes, so I do love the Twitter, Mike_Haracz. It's just my name. On LinkedIn, on Reddit, on the Facebook, on the Instagram. I also have a new YouTube channel called Chef Mike Does Stuff, where I cook the most easiest of things. And even though I am a well-trained chef, I do things like make mashed potatoes, and I poorly edit my videos for your entertainment. And then you could always shoot me emails. I got that, chefmikedoesstuff@gmail.com. If you need anything, I'm more than happy to help. And I love the Twitter, so tweet at me stuff, and I will respond as soon as.
Don't forget to smash that like button, ring the bell for him, for me, for everybody. But it's super important for YouTubers. I'm just learning this because this whole thing's new, but to me. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, Chef Mike,
Yes.
I really appreciate your time. And if you stay for 5 more minutes and tell me one more story, I know my Patreon supporters would really appreciate it. So
Yes, of course.
let's go do that right now then.
Awesome.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Joe Q Car Show. To gain access to our exclusive after show, known as Reaction Time, cleverly named, I know, head over to patreon.com/JoeQCar, and you'll get to hear our behind-the-scenes thoughts, get some follow-up questions, get some tidbits we left out of the show as little extras. And in addition to the Reaction Time after show, you'll also receive a bunch of other benefits. You'll get behind the scenes updates, maybe some stickers, advance notice of who's coming on the show. You could even hang out with me if you're at that tier. There's a bunch of different things. Please go check them out. It's all at patreon.com/JoeQCar. Thank you so much for listening. I can talk all day. So until next time, goodbye for now.
Thank you for tuning in. Let's go. This is the Joe Q Car Show. You know right now I got a full tank. So if you ready, we can hit the road. Ayy. Old school, it's the best. Mixtapes on cassettes. Keep the rims so fresh. Yeah. Electric cars, yeah, they the bomb. Racing cars, Formula One. We love it all. So if you love the episode, come back.